Jean from Happy Indulgence, and today I'm going to film my March wrap-up. So I'm not quite sure how the months have gone by so fast. I can't believe it's June already. March was a pretty average month, to be honest. I think I got really busy. Super stressed most of the time. So because of that, I only read 3 books. I wanted it to be 5 books, but oh well. So I'm going to talk through those books today. Hopefully it'll be a shorter video because I tend to blabber on a lot. If you guys missed my Q&A video, I answered a bunch of questions that were asked on Twitter, and they cover a wide range of topics. So I'll link you guys down below and hopefully you guys check it out. Thank you so much for the 500 subscribers. It really means a lot to me because YouTube is such a fun place to be when it comes to books. I just love the excitement that everyone has over YA books, and it's amazing to be part of this community. So the first book I read was Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. Reading this book seriously took me about 2.5 weeks because it is such a thick, slow, long and descriptive book. I think this book actually caused a reading slump for me as well because when I finally got through it, I just did not feel like reading at all. So Wayfarer is just super slow. If you've read the first book, which is Passenger, it's about the family history when it comes to the time travelers, and they were on a ship in Wayfarer. Both Etta and Nicholas are split up in Wayfarer and they're trying to find their way to each other. They're also trying to find an artifact called the astrolabe, and that will reset the timeline because the families have sort of messed with it too much. Yeah, and because Nicholas is a black man who is from the past and Etta is from her own present, there's a lot of family history between the Ironwood, which is one of the time-traveling families. It just goes so deep into the past and all these different time periods. Now, if you're a historical fiction reader, you will love Wayfarer, I feel, because it has that twist to it. It has a lot of alternate histories where they go in and meet Russia's last Tsar and things like that. But yeah, I just was not a fan because it was so slow. I prefer my books more fast moving than that. So I ended up giving Wayfarer 3 stars, even though it caused a massive slump, but I'm glad that the series ended really well. I also read Finding Nevo by Nevo Zisin, and this is actually an own voices book about transitioning genders. There's a lot in this book about feminism, about the unfairness that females face in society, and Nevo actually lived it firsthand, having lived both genders, and it was interesting hearing their insights on, you know, how people took their word for things like the female body even though they were passed as a male. And it was also interesting hearing how everyone was concerned about Nevo's body. They were struggling through so much with this self-identity crisis, but apparently their own body and their own gender was everyone else's problem. I found Nevo a really inspirational person because of the way they identify issues that are important to them and important to society, and they aren't afraid of standing up in what they believe in and also engaging in the activism that's important today. There's also an interesting side to it because Nevo is also Jewish and they do a lot of activism and education there. Because this book was a non-fiction book, I found it really touching because this is someone's life that we're talking about. I'm actually going to be reviewing this on OzYA tomorrow, and that's on ABC Radio. I will link you guys down below to the podcast once it's up. Yeah, definitely pick this up, especially if you want to learn more about what it means to be transgender, about gender dysphoria, and yeah, a lot of important social issues today. So I gave Finding Nevo 5 stars. I also read Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. This book was so amazing. It's the 3rd book in the Lara Jean series. It's also the last. Basically, Lara Jean is biracial and she's both American and Korean. Her father's American and their mother has passed away, who used to keep close to their Korean roots. Basically, Lara Jean, she feels like such an authentic teenager because, you know, she loves to bake, she's completely naive, but over the 3 books, she's completely grown into this confident young woman. I love this series because there's a big importance on the family. Lara Jean is one of 3 sisters and they have a complicated relationship with each other. Her father is a single dad and he also looks after his daughters really well. In this book, Lara Jean is a senior in high school and they talk about their final year, reliving prom, looking at their future and the colleges that they're going to get into. It made me feel so nostalgic because it captures all those feelings, not knowing where your future's going, and it's just really, really warm, and it gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling. I gave Always and Forever Lara Jean 5 stars. It's a great Own Voices contemporary series. If you haven't read the other two yet, I definitely recommend you get started, but this can also be read as a standalone too. Those three were the books that I read during May. I'm just going to cover two books that I'm currently reading at the moment. So I'm halfway through Miss Lillys Lovely Ladies by Jackie French. This one is an adult fiction book, but it covers the life of Sophie Higgs, who is an heir to a corned beef factory in Australia, and it's actually set in the World War II times. Sophie Higgs is a really charming protagonist. She's basically shipped off to London to meet an earl, but instead she meets the dignified Miss Lily. Miss Lily's identity is sort of hidden. You don't really know what she's about, but she has a hobby in taking in young women and educating them on how to be charming. And it's really funny because Sophie has a really defiant personality. She's learning a lot to refine the harder edges of her colonial personality. There's a lot of mystery here that's keeping me going. It's definitely something that I wouldn't normally have picked up, but I have actually really enjoyed, and Jackie French's writing is just a delight as well. So I'm halfway through at the moment. This is another book that I'm talking about on OzYA, which will be in the same link below. I can't wait to let you guys know what I think of the full book. The other book I'm reading is Flame in the Mist by Renee Abdia. I'm actually really struggling with Flame in the Mist. I think I've been reading it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm not really making any progress. Because it's not an Own Voices book, I kind of find some of the names a bit ridiculous. I'm not sure if it's because I love my gaming pop culture background, but the brother is called Kenshin, and I actually grew up with Rurouni Kenshin, which is an awesome anime about a samurai, and it's a really popular one as well. So every time I see his name pop up, I think about him. I also find Kenshin's perspective to be really boring. Basically, he's the samurai and he's trying to track his sister who has gone missing. Not much has happened here except all you know is that Kenshin really thinks that she's alive and he needs to prove to his imperial family that she is. The other characters here are also Raiden and Roku, and they're part of the Black Clan. Raiden, if you've played Mortal Kombat, he's a god of thunder and lightning, and every time I see Raiden, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's that character from a fighting game. I don't really know where these names came from because it's kind of unusual to see them all together. Yes, they can be Japanese names, but I kind of feel like it takes me out of the story. I wasn't a fan of The Wrath and the Dawn either because I feel like there's a bit of a captive romance going and there's a bit of Stockholm syndrome. The main character is also a bit of a special snowflake, so while I love the setting and the beautiful writing, it's not really doing it for me. So these were the three books that I read during May. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts on them, and if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.